Welcome to this video on Stoic reflections on anger. Before I talk about this topic, let me share a brief historical overview of the consequences of succumbing to anger. The ancient Stoics thought that anger is an emotion that destroys us, and they were not wrong. Releasing your anger unchecked may at first bring you satisfaction, but in most situations we end up acting without any control and end up regretting our actions. The world is full of situations and people that will test our temperance. That is why it is very important to prepare and practice to be able to control ourselves, even in the worst moments. In the case of anger, there are few emotions that cause us to make as many mistakes as this one. It clouds our minds and we act senselessly. It may even hurt people who have nothing to do with your anger. Anger is like fire. If not controlled, it can end up consuming us. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, the most important thing to do is to calm down, to get rid of the impression produced by the evil, to think well of the perpetrator, to pity him. I'm sure you're wondering, how can I control my anger? What good is Stoicism to me in this situation? Don't worry, because in this video I'm going to explain why Stoicism is the perfect philosophy to help you manage your emotions, including anger. And I'm going to give you 4 Stoic tools that you can apply in your day-to-day life that will help you control your anger. Before we talk about specific strategies to manage our anger, it is necessary to understand how Stoicism can help us in this situation. Stoicism is an ancient philosophy that, at its most basic level, teaches us that we should focus on what is under our control and let go of everything that is not under our control. This means that we must understand that our thoughts and emotions are under our control, and therefore we must dedicate time and effort to manage them in the right way. Stoicism is not about suppressing our emotions or denying that they exist. On the contrary, it is about recognizing our emotions and choosing how we respond to them. This way of looking at situations is also about understanding the world and acting rationally. But when we are angry or feel anger, we act in ways that are contrary to what we should. We become irrational. By becoming irrational, we act disproportionately, become unjust, and hurt others and ourselves. By practicing Stoicism with effort and practice, we will be able to change our irrational and impulsive reactions to slow and calm reactions that allow us to see the problem in front of us in a rational way in order to resolve the conflict in the best possible way. In general, Stoicism gives us some tools like the ones shared in this video that allow us to manage anger and other emotions that are difficult to control. In this way, we will live a calmer, fairer, and less troubled life. What can I do in my day-to-day life to gradually get my anger back under control? Here are 4 tools. 1. Know yourself. The first step in controlling anger is to know ourselves. We must understand what things make us upset or angry. Once we know what situations provoke us to anger, we can begin to develop strategies to manage these situations. Identifying what affects us is not always easy, as they are often actions that we have fully ingrained and automated. Some triggers for anger can be feeling belittled or insulted, feeling helpless or overwhelmed, or not being able to control a situation. It is important to pay attention to our thoughts and how we act. In this way, we will gradually become aware of what situations affect us. If you never think about it, you will never be able to put a solution to it. 2. Use the dichotomy of control. Once we know what affects us, it is important to think about whether what affects us is under our control. We must understand that the actions of others are not under our control, or that many of the events that happen to us do not depend on us. Therefore, if you think about it carefully, you will realize that most of the times you get angry, if not always, you do it because of situations that, no matter how hard you try, you will not be able to change, and they will continue to happen in your life. When you realize that it makes no sense or worthwhile to devote energy to everything that escapes our control, you will understand that it is absurd to get angry. And when you understand that it is absurd, you can begin to devote that energy to react in another way. Because we have no control over what happens to us or to others, but we do have control over our reactions. Whenever a situation occurs that makes you angry, you can choose to take a deep breath and ignore the situation. Or if the situation is unfair, instead of reacting impulsively, take a few seconds to calm down and react in a more rational way. Another way to apply the dichotomy of control to manage anger is to focus on your own goals and values. Focusing on what is important to you can help you stay calm. Many times you will come to the conclusion that it is not worth getting angry because it is not as important as we thought, and it will not make us happier. In short, the dichotomy of control is the perfect tool to focus our anger and difficult emotions. 3. Take a broader view. Many times our perceptions and interpretations of the events that happen to us are not accurate, so we must learn to see these situations from different angles. For example, a person may act in a way that bothers you and you end up getting angry. But if you understand that your perception may be limited and you change your perspective, you will be able to understand why that person behaves that way. Understanding this can ultimately prevent an unpleasant situation from escalating into anger. In the end, our interpretation of things is what fuels anger, and often that interpretation is limited because it is impossible to have all the information. You can, for example, try to put yourself in the point of view of the person who generates anger. Ask yourself if there might be another way to interpret their actions or imagine the consequences of responding with anger. Changing our perspective can help us avoid unnecessary conflicts, such as making the mistake of getting angry over situations that are not worthwhile or do not justify our anger. 4. Practice the virtue of compassion. When we feel anger, it is often because we feel that our needs or desires have been ignored or dismissed. Yet, as I mentioned in the previous point, this perception may be limited. That is why it is important to develop empathy and put yourself in other people's shoes. Try to understand why people act in a way that bothers you, why they do what they do, and how you would act if you were in their place. In addition to empathy, Stoicism also teaches the importance of self-compassion and compassion for others. This means recognizing our own limitations and imperfections, as well as those of others. 5. We all make mistakes. And if we are not the cause of a conflict situation, it is important to understand that we will only be overcome by anger if we allow it to affect us. 6. Be understanding of others. If someone makes a mistake, instead of getting angry, try to help them. Before I finish, I would like to share with you some final thoughts on anger management. Understand that your opinion about the external is what makes you angry. Understand that anger always has consequences. Understand that anger hurts you more than the thing that provoked it. Understand that the person who made you angry is no different than you. Think of the times you have made others angry. Understand that if the other person is behaving badly toward you, they will suffer the consequences, not you. Understand that your anger may be unjust. Understand that you have the ability to resist the offenses of others. Understand that what others do is not in your control, but what you do is. Understand that there is always an alternative to anger. Understand that life is short. It's not worth spending your time getting angry. Avoid people and situations that make you angry. What did you think of these 6 tools, and do you have any tricks you use in your life to control anger? Thanks for watching this video. I look forward to your response in the comments, and also share this video with someone who needs to see this. Subscribe, like it. See you in the next video.